Hey there. I hope you had a good week. I've been in a funk. I've been in a funk, and I realize that I always get into a funk right before the Jewish holidays, which start tonight. Tonight begins the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. And should be a very festive, fun time. Hold on, I am adjusting my microphone. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. Anyways, I don't even think anyone's on here, but that's okay. Anyways, it puts me into a funk, and I think it's because as a parent, I have a child who gets pissed off when he can't play games or do what he wants to do. And then just, family dynamics around holiday time. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Anyways, that is not at all what I am here to talk about. I am here to talk about the last week in adoption and what has come up for us. So, I have a question for you. Here it goes. When you become a parent, are you hoping and dreaming for a child who struggles silently with their identity and who, like, really has a dislike towards you and who is really hurting? Is that what we're dreaming about when we dream about becoming a parent? Duh, of course not. So, when we choose adoption, we're not, it's, you got to know some things and you got to understand that it is up to us to do what's right and what's best for our children, not necessarily what's right and what's best for us. If that means that we are a little uncomfortable and we have to put ourselves into situations we're a little unsure of, or that, makes our heart beat fast, so be it. And what I'm talking about is openness around adoption. And openness can mean open adoption. It can mean an open adoption can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. And if that's not possible for whatever reason, and notice I didn't say if you don't want to do that. I said if it's not possible for whatever reason, then we have to rely on the other piece of it, which is being open to adoption. You chose it, okay? I chose it, you chose it. So there's no point in adopting a child if you really don't want to talk about adoption or any of the feelings that your child might be feeling once your baby's in your arms. If that's you, please do everybody a favor and do not adopt because you're not equipped for it. In order to be equipped to adopt a baby, you have to understand what adoption is and what it means to be a parent through adoption. And that means to open your heart, open your mind, continue learning, and once you know better, to do better. Lori Holden just talked about that on her podcast this week, The Long Journey. I'm blanking on the name of it, but she has a wonderful adoption podcast. So, what we have learned, let me ask you this. Imagine yourself growing up, not knowing why you don't look like anybody else in your family, or maybe you do, but you have no idea what anybody else in in your biological family looks like. You don't know about your story, how you came into the world. Um, you've never seen your birth records, if that's something you've wanted to see. That you just live in this world of kind of secrecy or the unknowns. And there's so many questions you can't answer. And that's the world that our children are entered into unless we can fill those voids for them, and we have to. No matter what that makes us feel like. Right? So I had to really check myself when I adopted, because I once heard somebody talk about really checking yourself around language and practicing the story out loud to see what makes you comfortable, what doesn't make you comfortable, and kind of looking deeper into that and why. And one of the things was, can I sit with calling another woman my son's mom, using those words, or mother? Yeah, it feels weird at first. And you know what? Ultimately, it's up to my child what he wants to call his first mother. It's up to me to assure him and to reinforce that his language that he chooses is okay. If I have the option to having contact and it's safe because there's the right boundaries, if it's an unsafe situation, or if it's a safe situation because more people to love your family and your child, right? If I have that privilege and that opportunity, it's up to us, again, pushing our own fears and discomfort aside, to take full advantage of that. For who? For your child. For my child. When I first started this journey, excuse me while I take a little sip. There wasn't a huge amount of talk around open adoption, and certainly not about openness. And openness being, are you talking to your child about their story? Do you have pictures up of their first family? Do you have books to read? Do you have stories to tell about the journey? About, are you bringing it up from time to time to give your child permission to ask questions when they are ready? So all of that has to do, are you celebrating their culture, their race, their ethnicity? All of that has to do with openness. Are you having the conversations, the hard conversations? Are you leaving space for them in a way that they know that there's space for it? When I first started this journey, yeah, I was scared, and that's okay, because I also didn't know a lot. Going back to when you know better, you do better, right? I didn't know about a lot, and I feared that someone was going to show up at my doorstep and try to take my baby away. Do you have that fear? And if you do, that's okay. And you have to acknowledge that that's a fear and then learn why it's actually a myth. And my parents had it for way longer than I did, for years and years and years and years, because I kept learning and I had to convince them and teach them and show them, right, by example, that it was okay and it was actually a beautiful thing. And I lived in fear for a while until I realized and until I sat in front of a lot of other birth moms and listened to their stories and listened to adoptees and, listened to the triad and really heard all the voices. And then I realized, well, first of all, it takes a little bit of time to build a relationship, right? That didn't just happen. The trust and the relationship and the comfort didn't just happen overnight. It took years. But I was open to it and I never stopped. And we did the video calls and we did the texting and we said the I love yous every single time. And it felt weird at first, but it also felt true. Here I was, this woman like entrusted her baby to me. I love her for that. Forever. And to this day, with both of my son's parents, we always say, I love you before we hang up the phone. It's beautiful. It's beautiful for me and it's beautiful for my son. And there is no ounce of feeling threatened on any side. We have developed this relationship and this trust, and my son is so much better for it. And ultimately, so am I as his parent. They don't parent him, FYI, if that's a fear, another myth. My son's birth parents do not parent in any way, shape, or form. They'll sometimes encourage him. They don't parent. That's not their role. And they know that. They didn't choose that. They chose me for that. So I'll get off my soapbox, but clearly I am passionate, and every once in a while it sneaks up. And, it sneaks up, within our client community, maybe some people who are really resistant to it. I don't mind that so much. What I mind and what really upsets me is when you walk this journey and we're trying to educate you and tell you and teach you, and you're not open to receiving and learning. That pisses me off, because nobody has business adopting if they're not willing to open their heart and open their minds to continue to learn what that means to be the best parent for your child. So again, do you dream of being that parent whose child suffers in silence? Or do you dream of having that child who is beautifully well-rounded, embraces their story, and knows that you are the safe space for them when they are really struggling with that? Because they will. That's all I've got for you today. I felt like I preached. I may have. I do that from time to time. If you are Jewish, Lashana Tova, Happy New Year. May it be sweet and filled with joy and peace and blessings. If you are Hispanic, happy National Hispanic Heritage Month. We've got both of those in our family. So I'm going to switch out of my funk and embrace all of that beauty and have a great weekend with the people that I love, and I hope that you do the same. I will see you next Friday, and for now, peace out.